When you're a kid, Squidward is just the angry guy who hates fun. But when you get older, he becomes a warning, because Squidward didn't just hate his job. He had a dream.
My dreams are crushed.
He had a rival who proved someone like him could win.
Took my private yacht across my private lake to my private heliport. On your lunch break, Squiddy?
He had people around him who could have helped, and at least once he actually got everything he wanted. So the real question is, if Squidward had proof he could win, why did he still end up back here? And what if the same thing is already happening to you? How do you actually end up like Squidward? And are you already closer than you think? When you were a kid, Squidward was the villain. He ruined the fun. SpongeBob wanted to play. Patrick wanted to be Patrick.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is Patrick.
And Squidward was standing there like happiness has personally offended him. As a kid, you asked, why is he so grumpy? But when you get older, the question changes. You start asking, why is SpongeBob still so happy? That's when the cartoon flips. SpongeBob is what life looked like when you were young. Simple, exciting, full of possibility. Squidward is what life can start to feel like when the dream takes too long. But here is the important part. Squidward wasn't born miserable. He became that way. And if he became that way, there had to be a first step. The first step usually doesn't look dangerous. It looks responsible. You tell yourself, I'll just do this for now, this job for now, this routine for now, this version of myself for now, just until I figure out the real thing. And that's probably what the Krusty Krabs was for Squidward. Not his life, just a job, something to pay the bills while the real dream waited. Because Squidward did have a dream. He played clarinet, he painted, he sculpted. He wanted beauty, music, peace, respect. He wanted to be seen as more than the cashier. But then temporary gets comfortable. 6 months become a year becomes 3 becomes 10, and at some point you stop counting, because counting makes it hurt. The dream doesn't die, it gets postponed, and that's worse, because dead dreams are clear. Postponed dreams haunt you. The clarinet is still there, the canvas is still there, the idea is still in your notes app, the channel is still waiting, the business is still coming soon. And every night you tell yourself, I'll do it when things calm down. But things never calm down, and that's where the trap begins. Because at first you are a dreamer with a job, then you become a worker with a dream, and then something much worse happens. You start needing a reason for why you never became who you said you would become. Act 3. The lie that protects you. This is where Squidward changes, not because he has a job. A job doesn't make you Squidward. Responsibilities don't make you Squidward. Being tired doesn't make you Squidward. What makes you Squidward is the story you start telling yourself after you stop trying. And Squidward's story is simple. I'm not the problem, the world is. SpongeBob is too annoying. Patrick is too stupid. Mr. Krabs is too greedy. The customers are too dumb. And the dangerous part, some of that is true. That's what makes the lie so addictive. A good excuse always has a little truth inside it. Maybe your job is draining, maybe your environment is bad, maybe your family doesn't understand, maybe you don't have the money, maybe the algorithm is unfair, fine. But here is the part that hurts. A true excuse can still ruin your life, because once your excuse becomes your identity, you stop looking for a way out. You just become really good at explaining why you're stuck. And Squidward is excellent at that. But then SpongeBob walks in, and SpongeBob ruins everything. Act 4. The SpongeBob problem. SpongeBob is not annoying to Squidward just because he's loud. He's annoying because he's evidence. Evidence that someone can exist in the same place and not be dead inside. That's what makes SpongeBob unbearable. He loves the job Squidward hates. He shows up excited. He cares too much. He tries too hard. He laughs too loud. And for Squidward, that feels like an accusation. If SpongeBob can be happy here, then maybe the Krusty Krab isn't the only problem. Maybe Squidward is. That's why we judge people who are enthusiastic, we call them cringe, we call them naive, we call them annoying. But sometimes we're not judging them because they're wrong, we're judging them because they still have something we lost. SpongeBob is willing to look stupid while caring. Squidward is not, and that is a massive difference. Because the person willing to look stupid gets the reps. The person trying to look superior gets stuck. But SpongeBob is only half the pain. There is someone even worse than SpongeBob. Someone Squidward can't laugh off. Squilliam. Act 5. Squilliam is the mirror. Squilliam hurts Squidward more than SpongeBob ever could, because SpongeBob is easy to dismiss. He's childish, he's SpongeBob, but Squilliam is too close. He's another squid, another artist type, another version of the same species, except he made it. Money, status, confidence, a fancy life, the kind of life Squidward probably imagined for himself. That's why Squilliam is not just a rival, he's a mirror. And mirrors are brutal, because they don't just show you what you hate, they show you what you avoided. That's why comparison hurts so much. You don't usually envy people who are completely different from you. You envy people who prove your excuse might be fake. You see someone your age winning, and suddenly your brain panics, so you protect yourself. They got lucky. They're not that talented. They're cringe. They had help. Maybe, but they still moved. They still tried. They still let the world see them before they were perfect. And that's the part Squidward can't forgive. Because if Squilliam's success is real, then Squidward's excuses are in danger. Maybe Squidward wasn't completely wrong. Maybe there really was something working against him. Act 6.
The curse of the Krusty Krab.
Maybe Squidward wasn't completely delusional. Maybe the Krusty Krab really was crushing him. Because think about where he spends most of his life. A tiny register, the same uniform, the same customers, the same annoying sounds, the same boss counting money in the bag, the same neighbor laughing in his ear every single day. That kind of environment does something to you. Not all at once, slowly. It shrinks your standards. At first, you hate the routine. Then you survive the routine. Then one day, without noticing, you start becoming the routine, and that is dangerous, because Your environment is not just where you live, it is what keeps reminding you who you are. If your friends laugh every time you try something serious, they remind you to stay unserious. If your schedule leaves no space for your dream, it reminds you that your dream is optional. That's what the Krusty Krabs became for Squidward. Not just a job, a room that kept teaching him, this is who you are now. Cashier, complainer, background character in your own life. And maybe you have a Krusty Krab too. Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's your friend group, maybe it's the routine you keep calling temporary. Maybe it's the place you keep returning to, even though it makes the best version of you impossible. But here is the part you don't get to avoid. Your environment can explain why you're stuck. It cannot become your excuse to stay stuck. Because once you know the room is making you smaller, you have to change the room, change your schedule, change what you consume, change who gets access to your energy, change what you do after work, change what keeps you within arm's reach, change something. Because if you spend 10 years in a place that trains you to stay the same, you don't get to act surprised when you become the same person every day. And we know Squidward could become something else, because once he actually did. Act 7. Sweet Victory. That's why Sweet Victory hits so hard, because for once Squidward isn't trapped behind the register. He's not just reacting to SpongeBob, he's not just surviving another shift. For once, he steps into a different role. He leads, he risks embarrassment, he works with the exact people he usually looks down on, and somehow it worked. For one moment, Squidward gets everything he wanted: respect, recognition, applause, victory. And that moment proved something painful. Squidward was not doomed. He could win, but only when he stopped trying to be above everyone. That's the real lesson of that episode. Not believe in yourself, not follow your dreams. The lesson is your ego can block help from the very people who could save you. Squidward needed SpongeBob. He needed Patrick. He needed the town he judged every day. And maybe you need people too. A friend who pushes you, a mentor who tells you the truth, an audience that gives feedback, a community that makes you less delusional. Because trying alone sounds deep until you realize you've been alone with your excuses for 5 years. But here is the painful part. One victory does not save you. A good day does not fix a bad identity. A motivational moment does not replace a system. Because after performance ends, Squidward still has to wake up the next morning. And that's where most people lose. Not on stage, the day after.
Another day, another migraine.
If your schedule still leaves no time to build, if your ego still can't handle being bad, then even your best moment will become a memory, and you'll go right back to the register, right back to the routine, right back to saying, I'll try again tomorrow. And tomorrow is dangerous, because tomorrow sounds like you still have time, but enough tomorrows become your whole life. So how do you end up like Squidward? Not by having a bad job, not by being tired, not by failing. You become Squidward when you let disappointment become your personality. When you start protecting your ego more than you dream. When you judge people who are trying because trying reminds you that you stopped. When you keep the clarinet in the case and call it waiting for the right time. And the scariest part is the dream doesn't disappear. It sits there in the corner, in your notes app, in your camera roll, in your head before you sleep, waiting for a version of you that stops saying tomorrow. Don't become Squidward, not because he's pathetic, because he's possible, and that should scare you, because the clarinet doesn't get easier to pick up the longer it stays in the case. And if you want to stop wasting your life like Squidward, you can watch this video about how to waste your life so you stop wasting your life, okay? And don't forget to subscribe